What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jay Haleem, and we are back. I missed you guys. I haven't done this is my first one in a while since I went and moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. And so I'm glad to get restarted with Starve Talk with this beautiful young lady. I'm gonna call her home team because we're from the same area pretty much. I looked it up and we're about literally 14 miles away from each other, but the Hudson River, creates a separation. But I lived in the South for a good amount of time. People drive more than 14 miles, like it's going out of style. So that's my home team right here. That moved all the way to the motherland, to all our homes. And I'm just so excited about her. And I don't even know her like that, but I'm proud of her because a lot of our sisters and brothers, we don't leave home, let alone, like to go out and go to the world and be better with ourselves and grow what we're doing, because the world is our oyster. And people used to say that, but especially people like us, we don't believe it enough. Black people don't believe we can do what we want to do when we want to do it and the way we want to do it. So she's an amazing inspiration to me. I think she's going to be amazing inspiration to you guys. And I know she's already rocking it out with her clients and everything like that. Mrs. or Miss?
Miss.
Okay.
We
Tanisha
haven't crossed that
Colon-Bibb.
milestone
Yeah.
yet. Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. Thank you for reaching out. I feel like sometimes the first obstacle people give themselves is not to just reach out to others because they think people won't respond or for whatever reason. So I always encourage people, reach out, reach out. You never know the right people that you're supposed to connect with will respond. So thank you for reaching out.
Oh no. And let me tell you something. It was so funny how we did it too, and this is gonna help everybody. Like I'm like, okay, here's this nice looking young lady from Harlem. I know how Harlem girls get down. I can't slide in her DM and look like no creep. That's not about to happen, right? Because Cash is
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm a photographer. Oh, I got a podcast. They do anything they
Mm-hmm.
try to holler. I said, Tamika, that's my assistant. I said, Tamika, check it out, right? She seemed like a real businesswoman. So go find her email for her company, not her personal email, not her Instagram on her social. Find her contact for her business. If she's a businesswoman, she gonna respond to that email for her business. So if you guys don't know, go after the business. Do not play no games on social media, because if we people of a certain age or from a certain space or cut from a certain cloth, we're not going to accept that. We're not going to be just answering random people. I didn't expect that, even though I am who I am and I'm legit, but I still understood and I didn't take it personally. I was like, look, go find her. Then I told my sister, because she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? And so, I'm like, yo, go find her and we gonna, make something happen. And I did put some personal touch on it and speak to her myself because I wanted to be genuine and authentic, but I knew better than to reach out to you just randomly, because I didn't want to be, fall in that crowd with the other people.
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. I also publicly put out my email address for that very reason. Like,
See?
I'm all about connecting. So
That's perfect. See, now you guys learned something. So next time you want to hit up somebody like her or her herself, go to them directly. Get out of their DM with the
yes,
crap.
I agree. I agree.
So tell the people a little bit about yourself. You gonna tell your story a little bit better than me, and then I'll ask
Okay.
my questions.
Okay. Awesome. Oh, I don't know where to start, but I think the first place I always start, and then I go from there, is that I am from New York. I am from Harlem. That does mean a lot to me, and I think is the foundation of who I am as a human, as a creative person, as a hustler. All those things kind of embody and characterize most Harlemites. So we are very proud people, even though we don't have our own borough and we don't have our own city, but we're a very, very proud people, understandably. So yes, grew up, born and raised in Harlem, bounced around to boarding school and near Boston, about 20 minutes outside of Boston, and then went to an HBCU for college. I went to Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. And all those things matter to me because I think the first pillar of who I am is a diverse individual. Me, myself, I'm half Puerto Rican and half Black, so I identify as an Afro-Latina and a Black Afro-Latina. I am Black. And so I do like to start with that, but I don't deny my Caribbean roots at all. And so starting there, and then just diversity of my network from the people I grew up with to the people I went to school with is really important for who I am as an entrepreneur, but just as a person to understand and see the world from a different perspective. And then the second part of who I am is an entrepreneur, a business owner. I started my first company in 2012, Rebelle Agency, which is a public relations and marketing company. And at the core of that is connecting. If anyone knows anything about publicists, they are definitely the voice of their clients. And they're really the ones behind the scenes kind of strategizing and making sure that the story is heard, that their clients get all the shine that they can. And so I'm very much a behind the scenes person. So something like this is a little bit, I wouldn't say awkward for me because I do like to talk, but I just don't always love to be the center of attention. But I understand how my story can be inspirational and something for people to, you can take something from it, which I hope people do. So yes, my second business I started in 2019, which is a talent agency, and we represent over 20 digital talent, content creators, just talent in general. My goal with Rebelle Management, which is the talent company, is to rival some of the big names in the industry. You can't really roll off your tongue Black-owned talent agencies. And in 2023, that's something that is kind of a shame. And it's not unique to talent. Obviously, that's the same for a lot of different industries. But I think the more we just work and continue to change that in whatever industry interests you or that you're involved in, like do that. And so for me, that was talent. It was first public relations and then also talent management. And then in 2020, I moved part-time to Johannesburg, South Africa, with my partner who is South African. And we met on a random trip that I took to Cape Town. So travel. Travel is very important. Getting out of your space. But I think, that all started for me when I was 14 going to boarding school, right? To your point, Jay, like, some people are afraid to leave, not just their neighborhood, but America as a whole, or even like destination places like the Caribbean or Mexico are safe. You can travel, but they're kind of safe. A lot of people don't venture to Europe, and definitely more than a lot of people don't venture to Africa. There's 54 countries in Africa, so many different kinds of experiences that you can have. South Africa, they call it jokingly Africa 101. It is very westernized, and it is definitely probably the easiest transition for someone like me that's American. But I've learned to love it. I've learned to love the people. I recently had a baby who is now half South African.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And so definitely building a life here, but to your point, bicontinental. I'm here, I'm in the States. Hopefully I'm in Europe soon. I'm everywhere. I definitely want to stake my claim in every part of this world that God has created that we should explore.
You're doing it. You're already doing it. And the funny thing, reason why I do that, and I ask you to speak about yourself, because the name of this podcast is called S.T.A.R.V.E. Talk. And that, acronym stands for Stand Tall and Reclaim Victory Every Day. And so I just hear all the testimonies, all the trials, all the adversity from growing up. And in Harlem is probably one of the safest places for Afro-Latina, because it's so diverse, so diverse in them 60 blocks that y'all got
exactly
of Manhattan. But it's so diverse there. You got people from all over the Caribbean that's in Harlem. And I know it spill over to Jersey, and we grew up with Dominicans and Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans and everybody there, so we were comfortable with each other. Then when you start to go to other parts and you only see white people or Black people or this type, it's not the same. So being there, then venturing out so young, going out 14, then going all the way to Atlanta. I mean, from Boston to Atlanta. Like, oh my God, the accents, the New York accent going to Boston with that accent, then you're going straight up shouting to Atlanta. It's just a lot. But the lessons that was learned through that, all that embodies what we mean by standing tall and reclaiming victory every day. And we're going to come back to that. But I want people to understand why I do that, because I want people to tell their story their way. Somebody can read your bio, and we all
Yep.
got bios, but
Yep.
how do you see yourself? How you want
Yep.
people to see you? And I want them to see the trials and tribulations, because it's not just the why you got asked to be here. You know, it's like all the things that got you to that point makes it more important. Now I know you dope.
Yep.
I'm not even worried about that. I know you dope because people can't actually. It's a lot of people who made millions of dollars who won't make the journey that you made. They're afraid to make that journey. They're afraid that they're going to lose their business and things of that nature. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about when you make the journey over to Africa, and you know, you decided to move to Africa. You went and hanging out. You met your partner. Then you decided to move. What was the first thing you thought about when you with your business?
Yeah. Well, first I'm going to say, well, in Africa, they hate when you say Africa. They like when you say the specific country.
Oh,
So
South
when I
Africa.
moved to
Okay.
South Africa, yes.
Yes.
Because, just like people think Black people are a monolith, people think Africa is a monolith, but there are 54 different countries and hundreds of cultures and tribes and all this other stuff. So if not thousands. So yes, when I moved to South Africa, I was driven by love. I think love is the strongest emotion, feeling, thing in this world, right? God is love. And so I was driven by love here. So initially, I didn't think too much about business, but of course, and it was a kind of still in COVID. So business was also like a priority for a lot of people, but I feel like people were going through their own transitions of what it meant to work at that time.
Yeah.
So one, being remote wasn't too scary for my clients because a lot of people were remote at that time. And so that was the beginning of when I first moved. It was kind of like, oh, I'm going for a little, I'll be remote. So it was okay. When I decided to actually like stay, I think I was definitely worried about how they would react, but mainly because of the time difference, which could be between 6 and 7 hours, depending on daylight savings. And if I would just be like able, to keep up with the time zone difference and the amount of work that we would have to do post COVID. And rightfully so. So I had to prove myself. And I think as an entrepreneur, I'm always proving myself, right? There's never like a time where I'm comfortable and like everything's good. And so I had to say, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice. I was the one that decided to move here. So if I need to work from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m., my time, then that's what I have to do. Right.
Yeah.
And I made it very clear that I was going to do whatever I had to do in order to make them feel comfortable about the transition. Now, when I finally, maybe after a year, got everyone comfortable with the fact that my work productivity was the same, then I started to kind of put some boundaries around it and say, okay, well, now I can only meet from 9 a.m. to about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If we can't kind of accomplish it in that time frame, then it's going to have to roll over to the next day. But I was only able to make those concessions after I'd kind of proved that my
Yeah.
productivity wasn't going to wane. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Tell us about the support system. I mean, I know you have your your partner, but what type of support did you receive from your family in the States?
I think my family thinks that I'm very rebellious, and so they're kind of used to me being the outlier, because all of my family obviously still lives in the States, and most of them live in New York, so New York, New Jersey. So I think they were, as always, my parents are always supportive, which definitely has affected who I am as a person and why I go after things so confidently. So they were just kind of like, if you're good with it, then we support it. I think I moved in October and my mom came out here in April. So about 6 months
Nope.
later, she came out here, stayed for 2 months, really just to see how I was living and what was going on. And she loved it. And she was like even more supportive after that, of course. And I think because I literally talk to my parents and my family every single day. So it wasn't like I was like gone, like as far as communication was concerned. So they were all very supportive of the move. I think A lot of my friends, the same, you know what I mean? Especially the ones that travel. I think the ones that don't, there is a fear for people of like, why don't you live close to us? Why aren't you close? Especially now that I have a child, right? And I think that that's just some people's way that they live their life. Like, you know, that's their way of the world, and mine is different. And I've just always been someone that's very confident in her choices. But overall, my family and friends, very, very, very supportive. My clients, very, very, very supportive of my choice. And even when I acquire new clients, I'm very upfront about the fact that I live in both places. So I let them decide if they're interested in working together or not. But I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of doing. And I'm very, 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 very focused on building the life that I want, versus the life that needs to be carved out for me.
Yeah, yeah. You know, again, I see all of that in you, and it's just doing. I mean, I'm proud because a lot of people want to
Mm-hmm.
talk about you know, they're putting the sisters against the brothers, especially over here in the
Mm-hmm.
States and all other stuff. So just having a positive scenario like what you have, that's totally important to me. You know, I'm like, let's highlight this sister who's not, you know, bashing dudes and, you know, and all that other stuff. Like she's just able to talk about what she's able to accomplish, and she's
Mm-hmm.
shining with her light without dimming anybody else's or
Mm-hmm.
nothing like that. So that to me is super cool. I really, really
Mm-hmm.
like that. So has your business been able to flourish since you got over there?
Oh, I think as much as a curse COVID has been, it's also had its silver linings of blessings. And I think one of the things was making it like people understand remote work now in a way that they never did before COVID, and that has allowed me to build a business halfway around the world. And also just my years of networking and really building a solid foundation with who I am as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, as a publicist, as a talent manager. And so that foundation is really, really strong. And I think that this is the first year that I'm being very intentional about making sure that I have that face-to-face time with clients. There are some clients that I've never met, that I've literally represented for a year or two, that I'm going to be meeting this year for the first time. And so I'm just very intentional this year about that, because I do believe that there's importance. I'm a face-to-face type of person. I do believe that there's importance in that. And again, I was the one that chose to move halfway across the world.
Yeah.
So I have no problem putting up the effort to say, I'm going to be in the States for X amount of months. Let me make sure I touch point with everyone that I can, and then continue to just do the work that they know me for. You know what I mean? I think when you are honest and transparent with people, and you um really do the work that you say you're going to do, there's not much that people can really complain about. And so gratefully we've been able to flourish, yes, as far as still getting recommendations and still getting people interested in working, for sure.
I think that's dope. You you're in two crazy business. PR is
Mm-hmm.
crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
also, you know, talent management is crazy. So let's tackle
Mm-hmm.
PR first. What's a two-part question? How is the PR business now? And
Mm-hmm.
then what's the difference between the PR business here and in South Africa?
Ooh. Ah. Ooh. These are very loaded questions. I would say that when I first started in public relations, it was 2012. This was before Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a very different world. Very different world 10 years ago. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
had a
a lot of
publicist
people
back then, and
really.
she was the best ever. And now she got saved, and she's doing stuff with God, and she don't have
That's not a
time for
bad
me no
thing,
more. It's not a
right?
bad thing; it's just bad for me, you know, because she was just like, oh, the best. And I need a publicist now. I've needed one more than I ever did, and these
Yeah.
people over here suck. Oh, but go ahead.
It's well, thank you for unloading that onto my fellow colleagues. Um, You know, I think that more than, well, obviously, other than tech, communications is so aligned to tech, right? That because we have to, communications, it's always growing, meaning at one point we only had the radio. And then the television came along. Then at one point we only had the television. And then social media came along, right? And I think that at every point of growth, as far as how you can disseminate information and communicate with the world, the publicist has to change, right? And so in the digital age, I feel like the World Wide Web came about, and publicists were like, oh, okay, we have digital publications now, as opposed to just paper and analog and TV. Okay, let's get used to this. And then all of a sudden social media came, and it was like, boom, right? So then, an industry that maybe kind of changed very, very quickly. I don't think we understand the last 10 years how different life is. There was no Uber 10 years ago. There was no Instagram 10 years ago. These are things that we literally do every single
It wasn't
day. There was no
Facebook 10 years
Amazon.
ago.
There wasn't a Facebook, was just started. But there wasn't an Amazon. There was nothing that we're used to nowadays. And I think that a lot of publicists have been slow to grow with the industry. And I also think the industry has been a little slow to grow. And I think right now we're even experiencing another wave, which is like AI, right? Like, how do we work with AI communicating? Because now you have to think about deep fakes and false information, and all these things that you didn't have to worry about 5 years ago, last year, whatever. So I will say that I did take a pause on PR because I wasn't sure that I loved it anymore. And I wasn't quite sure of like what excited me about the industry. But I have jumped back into it last year and this year, because I found my why with it, which is just that idea of like, people need representation. People without strong voices, people with amazing stories, need representation. And that's what I love. That's like the core of who I am. I'm also very interested in working with tourism boards, because travel and connecting South Africa and other Western countries to the States is very important to me.
Yeah.
How do I get more Black Americans over to this side? How do I get more South Africans over to America? I know you're coming. And so I'm looking at PR from a different perspective, but I'm also understanding I'm a new student in this new landscape of public relations. It's not just let me email a writer, because you also have to think a lot of these writers and reporters are getting laid off. These newsrooms are very thin. There's a lot going on in the industry. So I would say right now, PR is in not as, I wouldn't say it's not thriving as much as it has been in the past, meaning with like a plethora of writers and editors and like just the easy funnel of how to get things done. I think you got to be smarter. I think you have to go back to school with it, meaning you have to do your lessons on it again. It's definitely a different industry.
Love your
And then
honesty.
I would, yeah, and then I would
Love your
say
honesty.
here, I'm just getting into it here, but it's definitely a difference. It's much smaller. Obviously, I'm from New York PR, LA PR, Atlanta PR. That's a whole different thing. But it's a lot smaller here, and I think I am still networking and still figuring it out. We haven't acquired any local clients because I do believe in educating myself before I could jump into anything. And so I'm still meeting people and educating myself, which is an important part of the process. So that's where I am on PR on this side.
I love your honesty, humility, because, and I said that because I might have a bone to pick with publicists in the
I know
state.
everyone does, Jay.
Well,
Everyone
not really.
does.
I mean, my first attempt at a publicist was just probably like so dope that
Mm.
I haven't been able to, because I had a blog during, and I misspoke and said Facebook had just started. That's like 20 years ago now, because I'm thinking about 2003 as opposed to 2013. But at the end of the day, I had a blog when that big black blog boom came, like 2009 and 10. And I had one. I had the same publicist as the Jasmine brand.
Oh yeah.
I was living in DC at the time, and you see what the Jasmine brand is. I could have been in that space, and it wasn't her fault. I had personal issues, and I relocated from DC, but that's how dope she was. You know what I mean? And she knew what time it was. Like, I ran into so many people since I became an author. I'm a 4-time author now. I'm like, all right, boom. I'm a talent, so I definitely respect the game. I need to find the team around me to do that part, because talent shouldn't have to do that. And I paid the money.
Right.
All these sisters who I ran into just with the game, they had the game, Oh, I'm gonna get you on Black Enterprise, and I'm like, Forbes. I'm like, I ain't making that much money to be on Forbes, but it was just the same song and dance that everybody had.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed, I'm like, okay, so how about you start with introducing me to 10 podcasters that you know that I don't know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that'll be good, but that never happened. It was always just I'm waiting. PR takes time, and I'm like, no, it don't take that much time. That type of thing. So, with those type, and so I was like, oh God. But I was very interested to see what your take on it was, and I just love the honesty because nobody was. I haven't ran into anyone who would say that it is different. It's totally different. The world is completely different. You're saying you're going back to school with it. That's man, that does me. I love to hear that, and I want 100 other PR people, especially in the States, to hear that. It's okay. Like I don't know is some of the best words in the English language, and we're scared to use them. We always feel like we got to have a spinoff or find a way to spin it or have some crazy answer or something like that. Like I don't know gets you out of a lot of crap. You know what I'm saying?
That's very
Like,
true.
you know what?
Very true.
I don't know. I can find out for you. You know what I'm saying? But not give me no bullshit. And then, and just you selling me that, and then you try to tell me is a good sandwich. Like, nah, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that. I can smell it from around the corner.
I think yes, I've heard your perspective far too often. And it does put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths as far as public relations is concerned. And I've heard it not just from individual publicists, but also people who work at agencies. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fluff around public relations, and there's a lot of like the same rhetoric, to your point of like it takes time and da 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 da. It's like it's a lot of the same rhetoric that's used incorrectly. And so, the belief in PR wanes and people are like, I don't believe in it. I could do it myself. I can, and it's like, I think everyone needs to be re-educated on the purpose of it, the strategy of it, and like what's possible and what's not possible, expectations. I mean, there's so many things, all these things I've learned being an entrepreneur for over 10 years though. And then just being a human, and honestly, more recently being a parent, like a mom, like I've just learned so much more in patience. And to your point in saying, I ain't got it. I don't know. I'm unable to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something that I've more recently learned.
Because what they
So,
got to understand is that you're on the team to work with that person. So you
right.
don't have to have
Exactly.
all the answers. Some of the answers you guys
Exactly.
can find together. You
Exactly.
don't have to
Exactly.
say, okay, because they hired you. Because
Right.
if you hire somebody on your team, on your staff, you're literally, we all going to be finding things together, solving
Yeah.
problems together. It's not like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
giving you however much a month and you got to know everything.
Right.
Let's
Right.
sort
Right.
this
Well,
out.
but Jay, to push back, to be devil's advocate, some people do believe that. Some people do believe that if they give you a dollar amount every month, you need to be a complete expert. But what needs to be understood is like you can't be an expert in an industry that's always changing. You
Yeah,
can't.
no, you're absolutely right. And you got those are the weirdos, who yeah, they are. Cause I mean, some people are stone assholes, like because I spend money with
Yeah, some
you
people are assholes.
and that's it. I dealt with clients where and then you have the ones that got the bag. And so they think that carries things. Like, I mean, we have so many times where somebody booked me and I don't hear from them for 6 months and they come right back like, let's work.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna send you another invoice. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's done. Like, what are we doing? Oh, I
Yeah.
paid you up front. So what? What are you talking about? That's for work now, not 6 months
Yeah.
next year. So I get those people are like that too. They're just certain people that don't want to do work. I've been in your space with we going into the next with the talent management part. That's what I want to ask you about that next. But we've worked more than a talent that we're representing. So when I got into a chance to become a talent myself, you're not gonna outwork me. You know what I'm saying? Like for my name and for my brand, like I'm on it. I just need somebody because I know you can't do it all alone. So if it costs me to get you on a team or we work out a relationship, whatever, I'm not expecting you to do everything because I'm already running side by side with you. I just know four eyes is better than two. Four hands is better than two. all of that stuff. So we working together. I don't have no expectation but you to come, bring something to the table that I don't have, but then
Right.
also work with me. So the talent agency, how is
Mhm.
managing that part? Because oh my God, that was tough nut to crack for me before.
Yes. Oh, I love working with talent. And a lot of what I love to do, I try to run away from. I think, you know, I that's something for people to kind of think about, right? Like I didn't want to do entertainment PR and I kept getting opportunities in entertainment PR and music. I kept being successful within that space. So it was like, Jesus, you know what I mean? God, what are you trying to tell me? And then I kept working with talent as opposed to brands and organizations with public relations. I kept working with talent. And I was like, damn, I really love working with talent. And so when the opportunity came about, I was like, oh, these are transferable skills. Let's see what this is about. You know what I mean? And PR can be very, very tough on you mentally
Yeah.
because it is you get rejected a lot. There's a lot of rejection within public relations. Editor either doesn't respond, people don't respond to you, or they say no a lot, especially if you're working with clients that are kind of building themselves versus people who are already established, right? And so it mentally kind of drained me. And so I was very excited to jump into talent because I was like, you know, brands don't say no as much as writers and editors do. That's a different type of relationship. So who did but dealing with people is a lot. None of my clients are assholes, but people are assholes,
Got
right?
that right.
And people are selfish and within ego. And these are all things that us as humans, we all do,
Yeah.
whether we do it all the time or we do it some of the time or whatever. But people are constantly thinking of themselves first, which is fine, right? Um, but when you're dealing with 20 plus of different personalities, it can be a little stressful on you because you have to communicate 20 plus different ways. You have to
Yeah.
show up 20 plus different ways. You have to spread yourself 20 plus different ways. And so it is very, very difficult. So my number one priority this year is bringing on new managers, is cutting down my client list and having other managers kind of take over. I can still be there for strategy and kind of overall thinking, but I definitely um am very interested in the idea of bringing on people to help with account management, talent management, and all those things for sure, because it is a very fast-paced and taxing industry for sure.
Yeah. I think it's different now. Again, like for all the reasons you said with PR, with the world being the way it is, and
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine, you know, when I was doing it, really wasn't no SoundCloud or it just started with
Right,
music. And when I
right,
first started, I had MySpace, so
right.
it kind of dates
Ooh,
me.
my
Yeah, MySpace when I first started with my first artist. And, it was a whole lot easier. I loved Twitter back in those days. Twitter sucks now to me, you know what I mean? But back in those days, Twitter was everything.
Yeah. I mean,
Before
we just
Facebook.
signed our first music client, and music
Wow.
management, artist management is so different than content creator management. You know what I
How,
mean? Like, and so the fact that we manage different types of talent too is like, I'm dealing with different things at different time. We just signed our first artist, so we're doing artist management from the very foundational level. So this is
wow.
A&R,
Bless your heart.
takes time, exactly, takes time kind of work. But when you believe in an artist and you believe in who they are, that's just what you do, right? And I love music. Music is always going to be a part of my life in some form or fashion. But music is also an industry that is very rapidly changing. And so we just signed our first artist and we just signed our first writer producer. So now we're on to that kind of more film and TV management side, which is like very, very interesting too. Working with agents, um, very that LA side of talent management that is new to me
Yeah.
on like working in it. I know people who are agents and like personally and stuff, but like actually working in it is very new and very different. So
Wow. How is it with the content creators? Again, it wasn't no content creators when I was in the music. So how is
I
that?
know. Ooh, it's a lot of like, I mean, I think talent management as a general is like a lot of going out to hunt, like you gotta hunt and you gotta kill, right? It's like nothing comes easy. No shit comes easy, right? In any form of talent management. But I think especially content creators, because a lot of brands still don't know how much to pay content creators, right? They really don't know what their value is. So it's also like continuously expressing your client's value, continuously fighting for a certain amount of money in exchange for deliverables on their side, making sure your talent is focused on the creative and not so worried about everything else. Yeah, that's it's hard. It's hard, but I think I know I'm meant for it because like it doesn't drain me.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oof. I don't at the end of the day say I'm done. I don't want to do this. I'm still on my computer at 1 a.m. like trying to get things done. That excites me. So that's how I know. And I always ask people what they want to do. And they say, oh, some young kids are like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. And I say, well, what excites you? Like, what would you do if you didn't get paid? What would you do if you just like had to stay up till 3 a.m.? What would you do? Is that playing games, right? Is that watching movies and critiquing them? Is that because then maybe you're a critic? If you're playing games, then maybe you should, go into gaming and see what kind of opportunities are in that industry. Like really just do what you would do if nobody paid you and you could do it all day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
And
tough nut
honestly,
to
if
crack.
nobody paid me, exactly, it is a tough nut to crack, but you also have to know yourself. You have to be a little bit self-aware, right? If nobody would pay me to be talent management, I would still do it.
Yeah.
If I didn't need money to live, is what I'm saying.
No, no,
If
no.
I didn't need money to
I get
live
it.
and I just needed to do something with my life every day, it would absolutely be supporting people from the background as a publicist or a talent manager.
I think that's dope because a lot of people don't find that for themselves,
That's true.
And when I
That's
said
true.
it's a tough nut to crack, because a lot of our circles are telling us to go to do something that's just about the money. It's not
No, you're
about
right.
making you feel good or the actual fulfillment that you need out of the work that you produce on a day-to-day basis. And I get it, and we all get, like you said, we gotta eat. And so for a time, I believe that like if you screwed up, you need to go get a job. And then try to figure that thing out. And that's the thing that's going on over here. I don't know what they're doing over there, but over here, everybody's scared of the big pad job now. Like I'm like, but you broke right now. Like,
Yeah,
so
so you
go
gotta
get
do
a
what you gotta
job.
do.
Like, you got to go do that right now. I get, it's not that you don't believe in your vision, like, but you
Right.
got to fund that
Ooh,
bad boy.
you're
You know
right.
what I'm saying? And you got a
You're
kid,
right.
you got this going on, and you got some work to do. So in that space, people have to be realistic with themselves. But bringing it back to what you do as far as talent is concerned, what is the conversation like when you have to have one of them straight up realistic conversations with the talent? Like, it ain't what you think it is, or you not what you think you are.
Ooh. I don't think I've ever had to like have that conversation. Like you ain't what you think you are. But I think that like obviously when I first sign a client, we do a full like brand evaluation. And one of the things is like your rates. So I put together like these are what your rates should be based on everything from experiential to digital content creation to like whatever, right? These are what your rates should be. I'm very honest about those rates, and they're very different for each one of my clients. And I base it not just on how many followers they have, but like the impact on their community, their actual ability to influence, right? And the type of partnerships that they want, right? And so for some, I'll make their content creation more expensive because they don't want to do it, right? So let's say like a client is like, I'm not pushing products. So if I'm going to do this, it has to be something I believe in and it has to be for a certain amount. So then their content creation number might be a little bit higher than somebody else who is more interested in doing that type of brand partnership. It really just depends, but no, I've never had to like sit down and tell anyone, but what I would say is that my clients, probably a consistent feedback that I get is that I'm very transparent and very honest, not just in how I feel about them, but how I feel about myself and the way I work. And I think that gives them, like that makes them happy to work with me. And even if us working together isn't a thing, right? Even if it's not working, I'm also very much like, it's okay. Like you don't have to always gel and work so well with every single, I'm not going to acquire every single talent in the world and work perfectly with them, right? So if it doesn't gel, I have no bad, I'm like, I have very, very, very rarely, there are a few bad blood situations, but I very, very rarely. And it's because like, I'm always honest. I can always foresee if something just ain't gonna be a fit, and we can absolutely have an amicable parting, and I will absolutely still rock with you and still help you if you need it in the future, because what's the harm in that? We
Well,
all need, you know. So no, I haven't been able to be honest in that way, but I will say that I'm just very honest in my abilities, my capabilities, when I'm at fault, when I fucked up, when I'm unavailable, all those things, I'm very honest about that.
yeah, but the problem is what I always, and as I told you earlier about you being honest, I think that's dope.
Mm-mm.
It's always like it's always the management fault to the talent. You see what I'm saying? And that's what, and I don't know about, that's why I know about how the music situation goes. That's why I said bless your heart. Like, but I've never seen what goes behind the scenes with the talent creators, I mean the content creators. So I just wanted to know if it was the same, because literally it's either, now you have those outliers who become major managers, but you have managers who bring people up in the industry, in the music industry from scratch. As soon as they get
Yeah,
hot, they leave them and go to somebody else. Or
yeah, that
if they
happens.
don't get hot, it's your
It's
fault.
their fault.
And it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
rare that it's their fault. Like I've paid for studio sessions. I own music now that I've never rapped over still years later because of how much music I paid for my
Mm,
talent. And I've made more money off of it now where I would, let people use it for stuff because I still own it. And I'm like, well, I might as well use it. But I got caught. I'm like, dude, you only going to the studio when I'm in town. You
mm.
only doing stuff when the cat's away, the mice will play type thing. I'm like, this is your career, not
Yeah,
mine.
yeah.
And I'm sure behind the scenes, Jay ain't let me. I work for
Mm,
you.
yeah.
Management works for you.
I think that you're right. That's a very common experience. And I think that I can't work with someone that doesn't work harder for themselves than I do. I just because to me that doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not here to hold your hand to realize your purpose. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help you and assist you, strategize with you, be a listening ear, guide you, talk with you through things, and then execute, yes, on some things. But I'm not holding nobody's hand to realize their dream.
I love it.
That's not what's gonna rock. Um, there have been a few times where maybe I've been too slow for people. And again, I say, I haven't been a talent manager for 20 years. I don't have all the relationships and contacts. So if I am too slow, that's okay. You should find someone or try to do it yourself, and literally no bad blood. But I'm going to be slow because I'm learning while I'm doing.
Yeah.
So maybe come back to me in 20 years
Yeah.
when I'm more established in the industry. But I've been doing this for 3 years. I can only expect so much from myself. You can only expect so much from me. Every year I do get better, but you can either rock with that and want to grow with that, or you can go somewhere else. And I think a lot of the issue with talent manager relationships is there's not a lot of trust, and there's not a lot of loyalty,
Yeah.
right? But again, you can't have that with everybody. So it's okay if some people fall off, but you keep someone around when you trust them, when you believe them, right? And when there's loyalty, and the loyalty only comes with trust and belief, though,
Yeah.
because you're not gonna rock with somebody if they always telling you shit and they never do what they say.
Yeah.
That's never gonna. So I think that takes time. And then it takes experience of like you just being honest and saying, I'm gonna do this, and actually doing it, or I can't do this, and then maybe you do it and you're like, oh shit, I did it. Or you can't do it and it really didn't happen, and they're like, oh well, at least she was honest about what she could do and not do.
And again, it keeps coming back to that because you know how many people are doing what you do and been doing it for a year. And they're like, yeah, I've been doing this for 5 years. Or, they start throwing in, because, I specialize in coaching businesses and government contracting. And so in the government, you can get certified if you put your work experience down. So you say, well, I worked the 9 to 5 doing this. and I added 3 years on to with my new business owner. But truth of the matter is, if you're a new business owner, you shouldn't be certified to do federal business with the government. And
wait your time, do your
just
work.
get to know it, because the government, once you get in, if you mess up, it's gonna be
That's
hard
it.
for you to get back in, and it's gonna be hard for the next 10 people, that especially that look like you and I, to get back in there. So like,
Amen.
sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves first,
Amen.
and then be honest with the people around us,
Yeah.
so that we can actually get to where we need to get to.
Yeah.
So I've heard that from you multiple times during our conversation, which is a big deal.
Yeah. And it's all about self-awareness, right? And it's all about like, we live in a fucking society where everyone's trying to be something that they're not. You know what I mean? And that's why it's hard for me to be on social media. You go to my page, I don't post a lot. I don't post a lot because a lot of what I'm doing is I'm doing the work, meaning like I'm learning. I'm in virtual schools. I'm trying to like understand shit. And a lot of that is not Instagrammable. You know what I mean? Like
I love it.
I'm networking. I'm on the ground really trying to build something. I don't consider myself an expert. And I don't consider myself an expert, although I've been in PR for 10 plus years, because I am still learning, because it's an industry that's always learning. I don't believe I'll ever be an expert in it. I'll have a lot of experience, but I won't be an expert in something that's always changing. That's impossible. And so, and I'm always changing. People are always changing. And so, yeah, like I just think people are addicted to acting like there's something that they're not. And like, I'm not about that. And I don't know if it's because I'm where I'm from or how I was raised or what it, but I just have no interest in putting on airs for other people.
I think
Like
it's your
Jay, I tell people all
experiences.
the time, like, if I could live on a farm and like never have to use an electronic ever, I would. That's literally who I am. Like, I just want to be on a farm with my animals and my people and my kids and my like. That's just
That
what I
damn
want.
sure ain't from where you from, because
I know,
Harlem.
I know.
So you are an outlier.
It's the different experiences. It's
Yeah,
the different experiences. But I said somebody today, like, I want to make global impact, but I have such a small, like, I want to make worldly impact in what I do. And I know God will align, me to where I need to be to do that. But I'm so concerned about my circle. Like, I'm so concerned about my friends. I'm so concerned about my family. I'm so concerned about my growing family, my son, my partner. Like, those are the people that, like, even the people in the office that I see every day, the receptionist, I'm concerned about that person. If I can make her smile or make her feel like Tanisha's a good person, that is what I care about. I don't need to be fronting anywhere about who I am, because I care about who I am with the people that see me and interact with me on the day to day. And that number keeps growing, right?
that's
So
real
now
life
you're
though.
now a part of my circle, right? Exactly. Now
Yeah,
you're a part of my circle. I care about the way I interact with you. You know what I mean?
that's real life. That's real life.
Yeah.
It's not fake life. It's not that shit to people you ain't gonna never
No.
talk to, nothing. And it's like, really, people are condolences and all this other stuff. And like,
You're
you
like,
ain't
what
never
is
met
that
this
about?
person. You crying, you are emotional, like, you know what I'm saying? And then the person around the corner from you, you can give a shit about. So like, it's a different situation,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you still connected to what's real in this life. Because there's a lot of people, we're losing them. Before we even lose them, we're losing them because they're just caught up in the matrix, and so it's crazy.
Yes.
And I'm glad you brought up.
And it's about, and like, a lot of entrepreneurs, I feel like they have to put on airs, right? They feel like they have to your point,
Get
have
me
so much more
started.
experience than they have. I'm sorry.
Don't
I'm
get me
sorry. Okay.
started. I just wrote my fourth book. I'm releasing on Christmas Eve, Business Corner, and that's what this was about. Because I think that we're losing entrepreneurship, especially in this country here. But with the truth about what entrepreneurship is,
Yes.
and entrepreneurship is really a selfless act and a selfless
Ooh.
decision. And a lot of people, are just trying to find a way not to go to work. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
They're not really doing business, and
Ooh.
then we're not getting support. That's why it's called Business Corner, because who do you have in your corner? And we started from the beginning of a business to when you sell it, because I've been through all of that. I've started plenty of businesses and I've sold business, so I know that I could have made more money when I sold my cleaning business years ago if I had the right people on my corner and on my team, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't under duress. I could have been in millions with certain businesses if I had certain people around me, And people just don't know who to align them with. One of the biggest things I said in the book, I said, this is the craziest thing when you convince your wife or your husband to get into, you got to start a business. And now for 5 years, they got to sit without the Louis bags and without the travels and all that other stuff. Now you got 100,000, 200,000 in the bank, and you up, and then you go back to them and tell them, I'm gonna put all this back into the business. You lost them. They ain't in your corner for at least for a little while. Who was around you guiding you through that process? That's a hard pill to swallow. The kids are not fresh like everybody else's kids. Your girl not getting her nails done on a regular basis like she was because she sacrificed for the business. She's not traveling. You ain't been on a trip since. Who was in your corner for that? And we're not talking about that. We're just saying how I can make money and not go to work. Well, I always say, if everybody's performing in the damn show, who's buying a ticket? Who is buying a ticket? And so it's just like I'm over it right now because I came from entrepreneurship when it was really a thing. Where being at a HBCU, I went to Benedict College, which was 3 hours away in Columbia, South Carolina, where our people telling me you stupid for owning a business in college and having a restaurant. I had a restaurant in college. Like, are you stupid? Like, you should have been like, yo, this dude, he on it. Let me help him. Let me push him. You know, I see he got the glow, right? No, they like, nah, you stupid, go to the job. It's crazy. So my job and my goal is I'm fighting it. Like, nah, this ain't what entrepreneurship look like. You got a job. You gave yourself a job and you working 15 hours and you was bitching about working 8. And real entrepreneurs do 8 hours when they stand on their head. You know what I'm saying? That's light. So I'm
And
like,
I have 20 bosses. I have
you know what I'm
20 plus people that I need to.
Exactly. You traded in your one boss for 20. You know what I'm saying? And then you just worry about putting food on your table. If you're a real entrepreneur, you worry about putting food on a bunch of people's tables. That's not easy. You said what you're thinking about. When you're thinking about how everybody eats, how everybody's fed, and then this is the caveat that nobody want to hear. They eating before you.
Hello.
That
Are
right
you okay
there.
with that? Are you okay with that?
And most of them are not. They don't want to hear that part. They're like, and I teach entrepreneurship on a regular basis, coaching these business owners, and I'm saying, like, look, man, you got to be honest with yourself about, I'm cool with if you know how to do a thing and you don't want to go to work, do that. Don't call it entrepreneurship.
Right. Don't do that.
Just say
Don't
you're
do
working
that.
for yourself. You don't feel like going to work because you're soiling it. Intentional self-employment is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You're not an entrepreneur. So I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad you were still in touch with the real world. And again, I said congratulations about having your son. That's an amazing accomplishment in our life. How is life? Forget business for a minute. How is life now as a mom and a soon-to-be spouse?
um, ooh, um, God's plan. God's plan. Uh, I have been an individual for a very large, almost my whole life. Very independent. Obviously, when my parents sent me to boarding school, very kind of self-thinking, very selfish, right? For majority of my life, especially my teens and my early 20s. Um, being a mom and having a son, um, has caused me to look at life from a completely different perspective. I didn't, so I always tell people, look, I'm not the oogly googly, pregnancy is bliss and, the world is my child mom. I'm not that, right? So I absolutely love my son. But when I first had him, my first reaction was nature over nurture, right? I was his protector. I was just supposed to take care of him. That was my immediate feeling toward him. It wasn't love. It wasn't like, oh my God, this person is amazing. It was like, I have to take care of this being. And over the past few months, that has turned into an affectionate love that is stronger than I've ever felt for any other human being, obviously. The fact that he's a young Black boy makes me happy and sad at the same time because of
I'm
all the things
sad.
that I have to teach him. Well, because of all the things I have to teach him so much earlier than a white boy or a young girl. I watched the 1619 Project this weekend, and one of the episodes is about obviously police brutality. And I've never understood Michael Brown, even George Floyd calling out his mom, these mothers and what they've had to endure. And I think more recently, and I hate that I'm terrible with names, but I hate that I forget the name of the young boy that passed more recently. But all I could think about was like, at one point, all of these young Black men were babies, and their mom had to take care of them, and their mom heard them laugh for the first time and smile. And I'm literally going through those moments right now. And to think, I mean, God has a plan for everything. So I don't speak out of fear or worry, but to think if something like that happened to my child that I'm loving on right now, my 5-month-old, I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine someone looking at him and not feeling the immense amount of love that I do. So I see police brutality and the death of these young Black men and Black women, the murder of these young Black men and Black women, in a very different way that I did before, because I am a mom now, and because I've seen someone literally take their first moments in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for him to experience this life, and I hope that I'm able to provide, the guidance that he needs. And yeah, I'm loving this moment. I'm loving the opportunity and the responsibility of being a parent. I'm excited about having more kids. I've always wanted to be a mom. That's something that I've always definitely wanted for my life. And it didn't come as a surprise. It was something that was kind of planned, but I'm even grateful to have the opportunity to be pregnant and to give birth, which a lot of women don't have, and a lot of Black women are fearful of because of the Black maternity death rate that's rampant in the United States. Basically a health crisis, and no one's talking about it, or as much as they should be. But I'm loving that. I do love being a partner as well, but being a partner is very tough. That's a whole nother conversation. Being a partner in a committed monogamous relationship, this very like societal definition of what a partner should be, is a very difficult thing, because to your point about selflessness, it's all selflessness. Being a partner is all about sacrifice. And I'm not saying that it's a negative sacrifice. I'm not saying that it's a tough thing, because I don't believe I don't believe loving things should be tough.
Yeah.
But it is a sacrifice, because you are kind of conforming to someone else and all of their things that they bring and all of their upbringing and all of their experiences. And then bringing those two things together to raise a child is a completely different experience as well. But I am very excited about life. I'm very grateful and blessed that God has, one, given me someone to love, because not everyone has that, and given me a child that that came from me. That's another thing people don't have. So I think the only thing I can think about is like the blessed, because it's not everyone's experience, especially people that want it, right? And so I'm just very blessed to be in a space that ebbs and flows, the roller coaster of life. I'm just glad to be on the ride, honestly.
It's amazing some of the things that you say. Being someone that lives on the continent now in South Africa. So you feel the same way there, some of the same fears that you feel in the United States?
Oh no, those are wholly American fears that I have for him. I do not have that sense of fear here. I feel very comfortable and very
Wow.
safe with him being a Black man in South Africa.
Wow.
Um, these are literally all fears that I have for him visiting or living in the States if he chooses to in the future. It's very different here. We're the majority. You know what I mean? Policing doesn't have the same historical context, and it's just not the same out here. They don't shoot first and ask questions later. They don't manhandle you just because of the color of your skin. You know what I mean? There's different things that they deal with out here with policing, but it's definitely not murdering Black people. That's not something that they deal with. A Black man doesn't walk around. There's no fear of him like there is in the States. So no, I do not have those same fears here at all.
That's an amazing tidbit, a big
Right.
one, because I
Yeah.
think that people need to hear that.
Yes.
Black people
Yes.
across the whole diaspora need to hear um what's going on, because you already know what we grew up seeing.
Yep.
We grew up in the same area, so we watched the same news and all that other stuff like
Mm.
that. And all
Yeah.
we saw was that kid in Africa with the eye would
The
fly. If
fly.
you
The
if you
fly.
blink one time and the fly go
Right.
away, but he wasn't
You
strong
like,
enough
why
to
don't they
blink.
move? Why don't they move? They see that fly
Yeah,
over
the fly, he's not strong enough to blink to get the fly to go. That's how bad it is. And
there.
so to start to study and hear, and now, being able to talk with someone who like, nah, that's not like that. And I'm watching the video, seeing you out at places and chilling. I'm like, oh, that looked like over there. Like, oh, okay. They like, they got a mall over there. Like that's just like super dope. And people need to know
Yeah.
that, so that we
Yeah.
can get out there and see it, like put it on the the to-do list. Like, forget going to Europe. It's not nothing wrong with there, but you're a black person, try Africa. Go see what's going on over there. Take that ride.
There is something wrong with going to Europe, Jay. There is.
I'm
Okay.
just
We need to
saying, like,
stop putting
not.
money in the colonizers' pockets.
I'm
Not to
with you
say
that
that
no, I'm
there's
with
not
you on that. I'm
colonizers here
just saying
too,
I'm
because there
not
are.
beefing with them. I'm just saying we like us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because that was what was going on with me and my family. That's why I said that. I said, it was like, hey, let's go to Europe. I'm like, man, before I set foot in Europe, I'm going to Africa first. I said, I wish I might go there before I go to Africa. You know what I'm saying? So that was on me, because I got the knowledge of self. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't mind traveling in and seeing what they got to offer, but not before I go to Africa. That's not going to happen, So, um, hey, I'm clear on that, but a lot of us aren't. You know what I'm saying? Because
No, I agree with you.
they're
Mm-hmm.
showing all the nice stuff over there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not
Mm-hmm.
showing the beaches and the beauty and all this stuff. And oh my God, we're looking at houses, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, I live in
Yeah.
Vegas now. Like, it's wild expensive compared to going over there. I'm like, are you serious? Like, so it's
And
really nuts.
beautiful country, beautiful
Yeah.
people, beautiful opportunities. I mean, like, it's endless. And a lot of my friends and family tell me to put my experience online, right? Because obviously this is our tool, our communication tool
Mhm.
for the world to combat the media that we've been fed. um I'm just lazy, and social media is not my thing, but I should put more of my experiences online so that people understand. My healthcare experience was amazing. My
Are you
OBGYN was
serious?
amazing. My birthing experience was amazing. All of my doctors, nurses, everyone was Black. The only person that wasn't was the pediatrician, but it was only because that was the only there's only one white pediatrician, and she just happened to be on staff that night that I was
So
giving birth.
amazing.
But and it's like so familial. It's so
Wow.
familiar and so comfortable. But I'm really speaking about South Africa, right? You got to talk to people that live, and I know people that live in Ethiopia, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Ghana, Nigeria. I mean, like, the experience is absolutely different, but I think the core of it is that people are comfortable
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
wherever they
listen,
are. They're
I
comfortable and they're happy being Black.
I'm sold. I've been sold. I'm super sold. I've literally been showing videos to my whole family,
Mhm.
and over the last few months, like, look, this is what we're doing. We that's going to be a frequent scenario for us. And then that's
Yeah,
why I started making connections, saying, hey, we're going to do business, because wherever I go, I'm doing business. So it is what it
absolutely.
is. So I got to definitely make sure
Absolutely.
that that's going on.
Yeah.
But I'm just.
There are people here
Mhm.
that visit for like a week or two and stay, or they visit and they're like, I'm moving back. I'm moving, because you just have to come and experience it. Just like anything in life, you
Yeah,
have to come and experience it. And once you do, I'm telling you, every single Black American that I've ever talked to that visited is like, I'm coming back or I'm living here.
yeah.
Period. And there's so many Black Americans here. And I'm not the first person to do it. There's so many that are from Newark. I just met a brother from Newark who's been here
Wow.
15 years. Like, there's so many. Actually, I'm gonna connect y'all to. There's
Yeah.
so many people. So I don't even want to make it seem like I'm the first, and I saw this opportunity.
Oh,
When
but
I
you
moved
dope.
here.
You're dope. Don't take, don't
Thank
don't put it,
you.
because
Thank
because
you.
in the States right now, our sisters are on one. Now, us
They
brothers,
are.
we always been on one. but y'all are on one like worse than we ever could have been
What are you
in
talking
life.
about?
Because like it's the really against the brothers and like I don't need nobody. It's just like real bad. So to see a sister even from Harlem, that's like I'm happy to have a partner, a child. Not one time have you said anything about your bag. I gotta get my bag, or
Jay,
like
I think you need to be around other people.
no, this is social media. I'm not even around these people like that, and they damn sure ain't
You need to
paying me my
start following
fee.
other people. You need to
They,
start
they
following
ain't
other
paying me
people.
my fee, so you know what I'm saying. Like people paying me my fee don't even look like us. You know what I'm saying. I gotta have an argument with people with my people to get my bag. You know what I'm saying. So I don't
That's
even
true.
bother. But it's just one of those things where it's like, look, are we serious right now? And I'm still, like you said, I still care about my people. So, like, I won't
You
starve.
have
See
to.
my brand, I won't starve Academy. It's my nonprofit. It's to help Black individuals become entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
And so these are who I'm dealing with. And then when I'm going into the trenches, and I'm coming out super dirty, man, because it's like I'm like, and it's because y'all are kicking ass when it comes to wanting to start a business way more than the brothers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with the sisters, and the sisters have just got their minds is somewhere else, and it's hard to help them. And I'm like just hearing you, I'm like, yes, this is it. And but then you got up and you moved, right? And I don't care if love have anything to do with it, but you did. You know what I mean? Because you could have been like, well, he got a bag, he can come over here. And like, no, you went, you know what I'm saying? You got what you got, you brought something to the table. Now y'all got a beautiful baby and y'all making it happen. Like people need to hear that because yes, it is people that's coming over there, but it ain't a lot of sisters coming by themselves and just saying leaving New York. And then you in the PR space, like man, come on. First of all, Harlem people think Harlem is the best thing that ever happened on the earth.
It is.
So, so to get you out of Harlem is a tough nut to crack. And then now that Harlem popping like on a different way now, it's all nice and everybody want to go and see it like a museum. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a whole nother
I
thing.
will say that, yeah, I would have never, like 5 years ago, if you would
Oh
have,
God.
I've said I would never leave New York. Are you serious?
See what I'm
New York is the
saying?
epicenter of the world. Yeah,
Exactly.
no.
Exactly. So to do
You know
that,
what? And I wanna represent the sisters, Jay. I want to say that there is a lot of issues between Black men and Black women.
yes,
Not things that cannot be solved. I think communication is number one.
I
We
agree.
have a communication issue
Yes.
between us. I think we both have been through very tough things. So there's also a little bit of resentment. There's a lot of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of things,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
so the way that both of us react and act are built off of a lot of those things, and then the decision to not really listen or hear the other side. Um, I'm not perfect. I think a lot of what I believe has been because of the way I was raised and just my experience in life. Um, but I have a lot of Black women friends. Obviously, I went to Spelman, so I know a lot of Black women. um, but I don't know. I think that I don't want to point the finger at either side. I really want to point the finger at white people and say it all starts with
No,
slavery.
it's
But
both of us, but I just think our sisters have taken it up a notch, and what y'all are capable of doing. It's just like when you talk about the cheating, like guys can cheat, but when the time for a girl to cheat, they can really break you down. You know what I'm saying? Like really take it there.
can we?
Oh
Because we
yeah.
don't believe that.
But that's not well. You're choosing to believe falsehood, like because dudes are just usually out there, out to lunch, just doing something just to do it. When the female decide to
Okay.
do it, it's more
So it's
calculated. It's
emotional.
yeah, it's like that. And we understand y'all power, at least us, the ones that's willing to admit it. Like y'all have the power. We've never wanted to not be bothered with y'all. It was just that we didn't protect y'all. I always put that out there.
Mm,
We haven't protected y'all. And it
mm.
was good. There was times we were slipping on the job as far as doing what we were supposed to be doing for making y'all feel, as powerful and as important as y'all supposed to be.
But there's a reason for that.
No, no,
There's a
it
reason for that.
is. But we still gotta blame ourselves because we once we get knowledge, it's our choice
Right,
to not do that, right? We have the
right,
choice.
right, right, right.
So
There's
we don't have to,
accountability that needs to
yeah, we
happen
don't
in
have to
this.
do the self-perpetuating thing. But
Yeah.
our sisters have gotten to a point where it's like we don't need them. We've never been in the space where we don't need y'all. You know what I'm saying? We've been in the space
But
of
y'all be acting like it.
no, we're going for another one. You know what I'm saying? For another sister. You know what I'm saying? Like, this sisters is like, we
Oh, I get what you're
need
saying. Okay, okay.
him,
Black men.
period.
Okay, okay, okay.
Or
I
if
get it.
he don't
I get
make
what you're saying.
$100,000, I'm like, sister, in the United States, it's not that many black men that make that type of money. So are you going to go with the 7 to 10 to 50,000, however many small amount that we are that have gotten to the 6-figure mark, and all y'all millions, they're gonna go with these ones, or are you gonna get with this brother who making 50 and help him get up there? And a lot of them are like, especially this new generation, nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. If he don't got it, then I'm on something else. And I'm like, well, you ain't even trying to live in reality, because that it's not to say that brother can't do it, but they see the people on TV like the Candy Burris's and who's like, oh, he got to sign a prenup. Like, you sing. It ain't like you was doing rocket science and you built, like, you sing. That's a God-given talent. If this brother makes 6 figures off of busting his ass, then he's worthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you sing, that's a God-given talent. If I play basketball, that's a God-given talent. I can't make you feel bad because you a nurse. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's God-given talent. Now, if you a nurse and I'm a nurse and I'm making more money because I get up and go to work and I bust my ass and you don't, that's something different. But they'll be, oh, I got the lottery ticket and I got on TV and made some M's and now he ain't worth like, that's not true. When you lose that bread, then what? I heard, now I'll get off of this. I heard that young lady on Housewives of Potomac years ago. She said she was married to Juan Dixon. She said, I got to get rid of my stuff because we not making that NBA money no more. I said, well, Juan Dixon played in the league about 10 years. What was you doing when he was bringing the bag in? What were you doing? No accountability. Like, if he bringing the bag in, if you can't keep buying bags, go ahead and you got to put some of that up, because you got to know he's not going to be playing ball for the rest of his life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what we doing? So
I would like to
off
say
my
that
soapbox.
I don't. No, it's okay. You can be on your soapbox. I would like to say that, though, that I don't like to generalize people.
Yeah.
Right. I don't like to generalize gender, race, whatever. Right. I think your experience is based off of what you're like, right? Like who is in and around your life, digitally, in person, whatever. And different people have different experiences. I know women who do sound like women you're talking about, and I know women who don't. I think that it's hard to generalize and put a blanket statement over all Black women.
No, not all Black
but
women. It's always a majority with me, because my wife is not like that. She hasn't been like that. We've been together since we was 19.
right.
But her family was.
Well,
And so
family
I was that
wants to protect.
person. I was that person who was shunned, and like, because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And in the beginning, you don't make no money.
You don't, right?
But you
No,
know what I'm
and
saying? And
they
now
want to
you up.
protect the girl.
My daughter's like this. This is how I told my daughter. I said, as long as that brother can take care of himself and he treats you well, and he makes you happy, and you good, because you gonna be all right. I'm not worried about how you gonna be taken care of. My daughter already has 2 books of her own. She's already an entrepreneur of her own right. She's only 14 years old. You're not gonna worry about finances.
Right.
You meet somebody who gonna make you happy. And as long as he can take care of himself,
right.
I don't want you feeding the nigga who can't feed themselves. like
see, you're doing the same thing though.
No. I can always take care of myself. When I had my own apartment when I met my wife, because I didn't have financial aid to have a crib. So I had my own place. I just didn't have what they wanted me to have. And why should I at 19 years old? You know what I'm saying? At 20 years old, at 21 years old. It's not realistic. But they kept it to a space where it's like, I'm gonna keep my foot on your neck until a certain situation. So you got that, and then you have other people. I've seen my grandmother with her 5 girls do the same thing. It was a thing where they tell you it's all good, because you also telling your daughter he can be a crappy joke as long as he got some money. That was
and that's
thing.
not the right thing to say, right?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen the domestic violence and stay with them because they got bread. Like, so all of these negative things. So I don't live that, and I wouldn't have, because I've seen it. I couldn't be with nobody like that. but I care about my people and I see what's happening because I volunteer with my people because I'm raising kids. And I want them to say, yo, he was helping us when we was kids. So that's his daughter, that's his son. Make sure he good because he's out here in the world. And it starts at home. So it's with our people. So if I can get my people some game before I get somebody else people game, I'm gonna do that. And so again, I give you honor as a sister because a lot of people won't. The brother's gonna find some way to pick at or find out the imperfect parts about you. But I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the majority. Like, and what I'm seeing is like something dope, and it should be highlighted. It should be celebrated. You know what I'm saying? Other sisters should see what you're doing, not just move to Africa, but just like, yo, let me think. First of all, we'll start with the honesty. Let me think about just being honest with myself. That make it easier for me to be honest with people. You know what I'm saying? Let me think about making the people around me smile. So, because I know if they're really happy, you know, they can actually bring that happiness back to me, you know, as opposed to if they pissed off and then they take it out on me because they pissed off. You know what I mean? I took in everything that you said. And so that's why I made that statement to you about who you are, because if that's how you can carrying it, then people need to know that because you know what I'm saying? Like it don't matter what you was raised to be by that brother that you hooked up with saw something in you. And obviously he was the one that unlocked the key to say, you know what, I'm going to be what I need to be for him. I'm gonna be water with him. I'm gonna be flexible with him. I'm gonna be everything I need to be. So salute to him. Yeah, man.
Salute to him.
Yeah, salute to him. And you know, I'm just so I don't know you like that, but I'm proud. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
I'm
I
proud.
appreciate that.
So I told you in the beginning, and so we like to end with ST.A.R.V.E, the acronym. I want you to tell me what the acronym stands for you, or how you feel about the acronym. What something that it makes you think about when you think about standing tall and reclaiming victory every day.
Ooh, standing tall and reclaiming victory every day. That's such a strong statement. Ooh, I will say it's twofold for me, right? I look at it as two different ways because I believe in life in duality, right? That you can both be confident and insecure, that you can be understanding and hard-headed, right? I believe in a duality of life, which allows me to be water, to your point. One of my favorite Bruce Lee quotes, be water.
Yeah.
And I love the strength and also the softness of water, right? The vulnerability of water and the strength. So I'm going to look at the acronym as a duality. So stand tall. Some days I'm very confident. And some days my backbone is strong. And some days I'm everything that people think I am and that I believe that I am. And then other days, the testimony, the victory has to speak for me, right? Yeah. So that's what, to me, it just underlines the sense that life is duality. You can be both tall and then on other days allow the victory to speak for you instead of you speaking for yourself.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I told y'all we were gonna get started off back correctly. You know, we've talked to some heavy hitters on this platform over the years of me doing this podcasting thing. But it's, you know, when I changed the name, it used to just be in the studio with Jay Haleem, but then I had a revelation, you know, and so the ST.A.R.V.E portion, and this is my mantra, and I, you know, talk about my story, but that meant so much to me to find other people who have those type of testimonies. You know what I mean? To actually, because I can talk about a celebrities. You know, I've interviewed the likes of Ice Cube, and you know, it go down the line. But y'all are way more important. Way more important. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't tell our story enough. We do not tell our story enough. And as a writer now, you know, being able to tell my story and knowing, and then you're back in the motherland where the stories were passed down properly. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I'm like, how can I give back to my community in that space? Well, let me find those stories. Let me have a conversation with those people who have those stories, not the lottery ticket stories, the everyday person that is attainable. Somebody can do what you've done. I mean, you look on TV, you got all those no's because they're looking for that 1 in a million story. when if they would have said yes to the story that you were probably trying to push about a client of yours, it would have helped some people. But they're looking for that one in a million story. Well, I want the one that my people can actually do. So they can actually
Exactly.
find a pipeline to get to a better life or just a different life. Sometimes a different life
Yeah,
ends up being a better life. So salute to
exactly.
you. Salute
Thank you.
to everything that you're doing. Again, congratulations on the beautiful baby. I love babies. I'm not having no more, but I love babies. I just adopted a baby, not mine, but my little cousin's baby, and I just literally adopted her. She just turned 2, so she spoiled rotten by me, by Uncle
Well,
Jay.
that's a little toddler.
And
Ooh.
I'm not having
Um,
no more, but I've said that a bunch of times, but I'm adopting a whole bunch of babies. Cool with that.
um, I appreciate you for using your voice. I think to your point as a publicist, a Black publicist that represents Black talent and organizations and businesses and stories, we have to take back the power of being our own media. You're absolutely right. But I do also want to say this about South, because I feel like I have been very altruistic and kind of like beautiful. Yeah, everything's beautiful, and the journey hasn't all been beautiful, right? Like I would say it is very lonely making a decision to leave your home. Even though I consider my partner my home now, right? I'm from New York. I'm very close to my family. Even though they let me spread my wings, I am still very close to them and very close to my friends, very, very close. It has been difficult kind of going through life things, especially most of my pregnancy here by myself in the sense, I have my partner's family and friends and people I've met along the way, but without your core, you know who your core are, right? Things are difficult. Things are very difficult. Feeling like I've missed out on things in business because I've been here, um, going through pregnancy by myself, technically, not with my girlfriends or my mom and my family, for the entire journey. I have had very, very low moments where I question why I'm here, and I have to lean on my why. And your why is something very, very important to me. It's something that I make my clients think about, something that I consistently think about, because you can get very lost if you don't have your why. And so I've had to lean on the why I'm here, and it has to be bigger than my partner, right? Um, I've had to lean on that many, many times. It is a very, very lonely decision at times, but then it could be a very rewarding decision. Again, the duality of life, right? But you have to be okay with the highs as much as you're okay with the lows, as much as you're okay with the highs. So I will say that. I will also say, like, new culture. I'm very aggressive. I'm not coming across as aggressive right now. But anyone who knows me knows that I'm very, very aggressive. And even in that honesty, sometimes I can be very aggressive and not very passive and nice about it. That doesn't go over too well in South Africa, where people are more humble and they do things a little bit slower than what I'm used to. So I've had to check myself and been checked many times, because of my gender. So by men, because I'm a woman, and by people, because I'm just like aggressive in a way that they're not used to. And so I've had to check myself and self-evaluate that too. Like, who do I want to be professionally, and how do I show up in professional spaces in this entirely new culture? Because this is not the States, it's not America, and things operate differently here. So I've had to respect that, which is why I said, like, I really haven't tried to acquire clients yet, because I'm still learning how to be successful in this landscape. So I would say those two things, because I think that I've made everything very pretty, and it is very pretty, but I wanted to highlight the other side of it, because there's always another side. There's always another side to a coin. So,
You are the sister I never had. I got
well, now you have me, Jay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I say because I love that. I always love to hear the other side. It is not even for me to ask you that, but you gave it out voluntarily. Because I want to hear that portion, that first portion, to get people, because how much we get scammed on social media when somebody's saying do this, do this, do this, and nobody ever tells you the bad part or all the steps you got to go through. So I'd rather tell you all that to get you over to Africa. I'd rather get over there. That's at least I'm telling you, do it for something better. Because at the end of the day, and I've
Right.
studied a lot, and I'm saying, people say, yeah, it's crime, it's what's name, but it ain't like nothing that somebody haven't seen in America. You know what I mean? And so
Hello.
like, oh yeah, that they always put that in your mind, like oh, it's just the worst. Like no, like it was 50 mass shootings already this year. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
Like
I'm from New York. People ask me all the time, do you feel safe? I said, I'm from New York. Every time I walk down the street, no matter if I've walked down Lenox 1,000+ million times, I'm always with my head is
yeah,
always on a swivel.
yeah.
And I've
So
never been robbed in New York, but my head is always on a swivel. So you don't think I'm gonna be like that here?
yeah,
No, it's
exactly.
the
They
same
ain't going
thing. It's a
nowhere.
city.
They ain't going nowhere. So but I just I do appreciate you in being fully transparent. We need that. I think that me and you gonna figure out some type of way to connect so that we can do another, even if it's not a podcast, but some type of video just talking about this thing, because not just Africa, but the getting away from social media somewhat. You know what I mean? I think it's a tool,
Yeah.
a great tool, but just
Yeah.
understanding that business, it's being played out whether you're on the internet or not. Especially
Yes.
in the government space, like they don't go on social media to buy,
To find people. Yep.
no, they don't do that. So like it's a whole nother world that's past this. And so I definitely want us to go ahead and do things like that. But let
Yes.
everybody know how to connect with you and how to contact you. You can put the email on, but
Yes. Put the email in.
your website and your social media and everything like that for everybody to know where you are and how to get with
Yes, 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 yes. You can put my email. It's okay. But my email is Tanisha at therebelleagency.com. That's THEREB as in boy, ELLE agency.com. That's the website for the PR company, therebelleagency.com, even though there's not a lot there, but it's because I be doing the work, y'all. It's hard to do it all. And then on the talent management side, the website is Rebelle MGMT. So REBELLE, MGMT.com. And then I'm just my full name, mostly everywhere. Tanisha Colon-Bibb on LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere. So Tanisha, COLONBIBB.
Follow her, and if you're watching this, you're gonna see it on the screen.
Follow
So
me.
connect
Follow
with
me.
her.
I can't believe I didn't wear any makeup or anything.
It's
I
all
didn't know we
good.
were being filmed.
Oh man, but that's a good thing because look, they show these girls how to do it naturally. Everything. We don't
Oh
know
my God,
what's
Jay.
going on.
Jay, we have to dissect what's going
Yes,
on
we
with
do.
you
Because these
and
these
Black. We
filters,
have to,
these filters
we have
are these
to.
filters are the devil. These
I
filters
use
are
filters.
let me explain something to you. I saw a classmate of mine, college classmate of mine. And I've been out of college for years, right? So I see on social media, I'm like, yo, wow, she's like, wow, oh my God, I'm in the grocery store one day and I run into her. What's up, Jay? And I'm like, and she had a name, a ID on. I had to literally look at the ID to make sure it was the same person. Like, that's the devil, yo. Can't do that, yo.
Jay,
Can't do that. I mean, again, it's a purpose for them, but you can't like reconstruct the whole who you
your
look
whole
like. You know what I'm
face.
saying? Like if you read my bio, I've done photography for years on a high level, like very high level. So I understand Photoshop. You know what I mean? So I know how to Photoshop people, but one of the things you learn is that I still want you to look like the person. If I've done your headshots, I
Yeah.
want people to recognize you when they walk up on you. You know what I'm saying? So
Right, right,
I'm
right,
touching
right,
things, but I'm not making you look like somebody that you're not. You know what I'm
right.
saying? For that, because then it's gonna look bad. I mean, look like I'm nice behind the scenes, but it's gonna mess you up. And I want you to,
Right.
get what you need to get. So that them filters are the devil. And yes, we will
We're gonna
that
we
now.
are
This
gonna dissect
process,
this. We have to.
and we gonna get because look, I gotta get out there. Look, I gotta get it off my chest. But
Okay.
thank you so much for giving me your time. And we gonna stay super connected and we gonna do some things. Again, you guys, y'all see everything on the screen. You'll be able to connect with her if you're looking for some representation in the States, or if you think about getting money out in Africa, holla at her.
Exactly.
In South Africa. I gotta
Thank
say
you.
it right, in South Africa.
Yes. Yes.
And before you know it, she'll be all over the continent. But right now, we're starting in South Africa.
Hopefully.
No, we're gonna make that happen.
Yes.
We're gonna make that happen. That's my wheels are turning.
Yes.
But y'all
It's
know what
already
this
done. It's
is.
already done. Okay.
S.T.A.R.V.E Talk. We back in action, y'all. Go ahead to the page, iwon'tstarve.com, www.iwon'tstarve.com. Go on there. And go to the Instagram page at Star of Talk, YouTube page, YouTube.com/Star of Talk. Go on there, subscribe right now. You can see these videos and see all the other stuff I'm talking about. See me ranting and raving like I was doing over here by myself in the car somewhere. I'm talking about one of these subjects. So catch up with me and see what we're talking about. But until then, I'll talk to you guys next time and in my next video. Peace.